is breaking news from DawgNation.
Good afternoon, DawgNation. I am Brandon Adams. Welcome into this Kroger Commitment Special Times 2. Yeah, truly an unprecedented moment here for us at DawgNation. The Bulldogs themselves have been on quite a roll with their 2026 recruiting class, and we are doing everything we can to keep up with it, including today, 2 different locations here. You see in the top of your screen, the top right-hand corner, that is Kaiden Prothro, the 5-star tight end in Bowdon, Georgia. The 3-time state champion Red Devils in Carroll County, just near the Georgia-Alabama border. In just a couple of minutes' time, Prothro will make his college decision. You see 5 hats on the table there. Alabama, then Texas. Auburn gets the middle position. It is Georgia there, second from the left for Prothro, with Florida on the far left. And then on the right side of your screen, also here in the Atlanta area, the Buford High School product Tyriq Ty Boogie Green, is also getting set for his own college decision today. As you see from the very impressive setup that Green has, 3 finalists not reflected with hats on the table, but with a very impressive graphic presentation on the table in front of him. Auburn, Miami, and Georgia. That for Tyriq Green. So it's Prothro on the left side. It is Green on the right. We do expect Prothro to go first. Originally, we were thinking that Prothro's announcement would likely come somewhere around 4:15 p.m. Perhaps that is still the case. It does seem like the ceremony there in Bowdon has been slightly accelerated, but we'll see if it does now slow down just a bit and lands around the time we thought it was going to be before. And one way or another, separate and independent from what goes down with Prothro, we are expecting Tyriq Green to make his announcement somewhere around 4:15 p.m. So all of this brought to you today by Kroger. We're happy to have you with us for it. Our Kaylee Mansell is in Bowdon. Our Jack Leo is in an Atlanta area restaurant with Tyriq Green. So let's give you a couple of official particulars here. Kaiden Prothro, by now you certainly know plenty about him. He is at the center of the table there in the top right box. This is a 5-star tight end, ranked the number 29 overall prospect in the country, according to the On3 industry rankings. He is also their number 2 tight end. Georgia has 2 tight end commits already in this 2026 class. They were originally in pursuit of a third, but all of that was in addition to the very aggressive work that Georgia has been doing to secure Prothro's commitment throughout this entire process. He took his official visit to Georgia on May 30th, and obviously Todd Hartley, the Georgia tight ends coach, when he tries to have influence over a player the caliber of Prothro, just given the success that Georgia has had at that position, well, typically Hartley gets his man. We'll find out later on today if that's the case. And obviously the backdrop for all of this, perhaps you saw the recent NFL rankings that came out about the top players at each position. And after just 1 year in the National Football League, Brock Bowers is already rated as the NFL's top tight end. The first time this has happened since the league has been doing this sort of thing with its media partners. So obviously for any tight end who comes to Georgia in the wake of Bowers, it's the chance to kind of live into that, become a first-round pick, become the kind of hybrid-style player that can, not just be a pass-catching threat, but really be the elite playmaker on the field. That's what Brock was during his time at Georgia. That's what a player of the magnitude of Prothro has a chance to be too. We are probably about 5 minutes away from this going down with Prothro. We have already on hand there been hearing some reporting from our Kaylee Mansell, who says, and you can't really see this on your screen, but a very large crowd gathered there at Bowdon High School for this today. It is a small school. It is in the single A, basically the smallest of the 2 single A classifications in Georgia, but they are a football-crazed community and incredible success for Coach Rich Finley, who also spoke to the crowd there a little earlier. This is a team that has won back-to-back-to-back state championships here in Georgia. You get a little bit of a look there of kind of how this is going down. There are other media outlets, as you see, that appears to be local media, and a nice collection there in the gym our Kaylee Mansell doing a good job of kind of showing that to you. And it's one of those things that, for me, sort of breaks the fourth wall because I'm never here for one of these events, and it's a really nice scene to be able to see this. Kaylee's doing a great job. Just to give you an idea of how large the crowd is, you see security on hand for this. Not that anybody's expected to get unruly. I'm just saying if they happen to be there. You see security on hand. You see folks not just filling that section of bleachers in the gym, but also stretching all across the balcony, the riser area there, the catwalk area above this. So a huge crowd on hand. Bowdon High School in Carroll County. They obviously love supporting their local football products. And there's never been a better Bowdon County Red Devil, certainly you should say Bowdon Red Devil, than what Kaiden Prothro is. Before the ceremony gets going, we also have Kaylee Mansell standing by here too. Kaylee, it appears to be quite a scene there at Bowdon High School. Can you tell us more about what you're seeing?
I mean, you want to talk about a 5-star commitment ceremony for a 5-star player. In the 8 of these that I have done, it has not even come close to the amount of people that are here right now. People are still rolling in. At this point, I'm glad I got here early so I could get a spot in the parking lot. What you can't see is that one level up from here, they've already got a station set up where it looks like people are going to gather after here, around 25 tables. We saw them loading piles and piles of food out of the back of a Ford Bronco earlier, and a cake that is absolutely massive. Have not been able to land eyes on it just yet, but from what it looks like, a lot of people are hoping it's going to be that Power G on it. It's kind of confusing because the school colors are red and black, but a lot of people here today supporting Georgia football gear.
That's exactly right. Kaylee Mansell, you're doing a great job there. And obviously, I think we're reminded of this is clearly a big day for Georgia fans who hope they had a 5-star recruit. But I love your perspective on this because we're reminded for this community in West Georgia, it is also a very big deal for them, too, as one of their favorite sons gets a chance to now play at the next level.
Yeah, and we saw that earlier. Before we started the stream, the head coach came up and gave a really nice speech about the kind of person that Kaiden Prothro was, and he addressed all of the young people in this community and said this is not just a role model for the guys that he plays with, but this is also a role model for this entire community. And he said that Kaiden is one of those guys who's not just a 5-star on the field, but also is a 5-star in the classroom, has 5-star behavior, is a 5-star in the weight room. And I mean, people are still rolling in. This is a very strong community. I learned today that it is called the Friendly City. So I think the community support that you see, the words from the coach, goes to show how important of a player Kaiden Prothro is here and how important of a player he's going to be at whatever school he chooses.
Looks like the ceremony is getting closer to starting there, so we'll let you get set up for that. Kaylee Mansell doing great coverage in Bowdon, Georgia for us today. 5-star tight end Kaiden Prothro getting ready to make his announcement. Once again, you see those 5 hats on the table: Alabama, Texas, Auburn, Georgia, Florida. And as you know, here on this Kroger Commitment Special, we are also live in Atlanta today as well with Tyriq, as he likes to call himself, Ty Boogie Green, the 4-star athlete from Buford that'll be a defensive back, a safety at the next level. Our Jack Leo providing coverage there at a local Atlanta area restaurant. Jack, I love the setup here for Ty Green. Beautiful graphics kind of behind him, creates a nice backdrop. The front table graphic, very well displayed too. This is a very professional setup for Ty Green as he'll make his announcement, the 4-star, just shortly after Prothro. We're expecting him to make his decision first, then Green coming up shortly after that. It certainly looks like a very festive atmosphere where you are. What can you tell us about the gathering there for Green here today?
Well, the first thing I'll tell you is the restaurant is called Palm Beach, not South Beach. I can say that despite the Georgia, Miami, Auburn pick. It is very, very jovial. We got the music going out here. It's pretty hot, so most of the guests, and I'll tell you, a lot of people have showed up. Most of the guests are inside. Obviously, they'll come out closer to the time that we do the outdoor commitment here, but it's popping. I mean, the music's good right here in downtown Atlanta. You can see some of these, these skyscrapers on the left. A lot of cool restaurants and stuff around. So yeah, we're right here in the thick of it.
Well, Jack, we'll look forward to your coverage, including from hearing from you folks there after this goes down with Green and after Kaiden Prothro gets ready to make his announcement. So thanks for getting us a clean shot there. Thanks for your insight, and we'll look forward to checking in with you here coming up in just a couple of minutes' time. This is our Croker Commitment Special. Bowdon, Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, the two spots here as both Kaiden Prothro and Ty Green get ready to make their announcements. Let's give you a couple of pieces of insight on Green as it is before we hear from Prothro. Took official visits to all three of his finalists here over the course of the last month. Plus, he was at Auburn on May 30th, took the Miami official visit there on June 6th, and then Georgia saw the Dogs there on June 13th as a part of what was a very busy month, of course, for Georgia, hosting those official visits, leading to what has been a flurry of commitments in recent weeks for Georgia, including the unprecedented streak of 7 straight days adding the commit, and then almost 2 weeks worth of a commitment, what felt like every day there. And this recruiting hot streak has a chance to continue today, with the Dogs now hoping to get a couple of different commitment additions here before this hour is done. Of course, if you look at the On3 industry ranking for Ty Green from Buford, he ranks as the 165 overall player in the country, according to the On3 industry rankings, and the number 20 overall player in the state. What's interesting, though, is and many of you are aware of this, whether it's kind of the 24/7 sports composite, as they like to call theirs, or the On3 industry rankings, it is a tabulation of all the various individual websites. And while On3 does its industry ranking, they also do their own ranking for themselves by their own scouts, which is probably confusing if you don't follow recruiting closely. But if you follow recruiting closely, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it has been really interesting to watch on the On3 ranking in particular just how quickly Ty Green seems to be ascending as a player. He is now ranked inside the top 100 according to the On3 specific website ranking, now coming in as the number 89 overall player nationally. So this is a very big deal. Even within the state of Georgia, we have reason to believe that his fame is likely to grow, getting extra attention coming in the weeks ahead. Of course, this is a Buford program that every single year essentially functions like an all-star team with numerous 4- and 5-star prospects every single season. They get a chance to go and play at the major college level. This year's Buford team similarly loaded. But when you think about the most highly rated and the most well-known players in this Buford class as we get closer to the start of the season, and by the way, the debut of what's essentially a palace, a brand new stadium coming for the Buford Wolves, I think we do so in anticipation of Ty Green being among the most celebrated players on that roster, especially if that's coupled with a Georgia commitment coming a little bit later on. While I have a break in the action, let's also give a big thanks to our friends at Kroger who make all this possible, doubly so here today as we are live at both Bowdon and in Atlanta. Of course, Ty Green, a Buford player, but in a Atlanta area restaurant for his ceremony here today. So as we're stretched out far and wide, our friends from Kroger making that all possible. They also make summertime fun possible for you. The best way to take advantage of all of that is to become a brand new member of Kroger Boost. Take advantage of the convenience of free grocery delivery, free grocery pickup. Of course, those delivery trucks come to your house, refrigerated, all that produce, the meat, the things that you're buying, that stays nice and cool and crisp, just the way you want it to, shows up on time. You can also take advantage of free grocery pickup if you'd like to do that. Or on the stuff you're already buying at your local Kroger, as a Kroger Boost member, you get twice the fuel points, and that means twice the savings on the stuff that you're already buying. So check out Kroger.com/boost for more on that today. That's Kroger.com/boost for more on that today. You see the reference to the watch there on the desk with Kaiden Prothro. That is typically an international signal for, hey, it's about time to get this thing rocking and rolling. So we'll see if that's indeed the case there in Bowdon, Georgia. I've also got our Cody Chafin standing by here too. Cody, you've been in TV for a long time. You've covered a lot of these commitment announcements. How much fun is it for you here today to be able to do 4 of these at the, 2 of these at the same time, and kind of Scott Hansen Red Zone NFL channel? We can almost do the quad box here, just sort of getting all this going. A lot happening on the screen in front of us, but all of it fun if you're a Georgia fan, the chance to watch this play out.
Yeah, so much for a sleepy summer Saturday, right? When you look at what we've got going on here, and 2 really cool but very different setups. When you've got a hometown kid like Kaiden Prothro, who's dad went and played football at Bowdon. He is Bowdon true and true. And so they've got the whole community set up there. And then Ty Boogie's community is set up not at the high school, but they're set up downtown Atlanta, which just feels big time, right? And that's what we expect out of a big time Buford type of player. So really cool that they're a little bit different, but also kind of happening simultaneous. I don't know who needed to call whom here and decide who's going to go first, but it's a really interesting setup to have kind of the juxtaposition of small town rural Georgia versus downtown big time. And hopefully, like Jack said, because it's the Palm Beach restaurant, that doesn't mean good news for South Florida.
No, I think that's exactly right. And I was thinking about the same thing. It is a very interesting contrast between these two communities, these two programs. Obviously, Buford is an Atlanta suburb, but as programs go, it is as big as it gets. Certainly befitting a very big city, as you see the signal continue to
Judge
be there.
Judy meme is what I think of.
The watch. That's right. It does feel very Judge Judy-esque as she's trying to rush the proceedings on here. So certainly the signal we get is they're getting very close to starting there in Bowdon, and we'll watch that with Kaiden Prothro. That's on the left side of your screen. That is the setup for Tyriq Green, who we'll see shortly after this. And, Cody, it also seems appropriate. We've seen so much from Georgia, including the stretch of 7 straight days of commitments. They've done sort of everything that can be done in this 2026 class. Why not do 2 in the same day within minutes of each other? It just sort of feels like the next frontier for Georgia. It has been a very showman-like effort in this 2026 class. There's been a lot of pizzazz to it. This perhaps just the latest example of that, as we now do appear to be getting very close to getting things going here about it.
Yeah, it did feel like for a while we weren't getting these hat ceremonies, right?
Yeah.
But this stretch we've had for UGA, we've had so many great ceremonies, and shout out to our DawgNation road crew. The road warriors out there have been out at all of these things, whether it's going to Nashville, Tennessee to see Jared Curtis commit, or whether it's going to Cambridge, or they were down in Colquitt County to get Jay Lamar. And so we've had pretty good luck recently for a lot of these commitments. Early on, they missed on a couple, and we think back to last year. So it's never a guarantee when we're streaming it that they're going to go, but you just never know. It looks like Kaiden Prothro is getting going there in Bowdon.
Yeah, let's go live to Bowdon, Georgia here for Kaiden Prothro. Tyriq Green will remain on the right side.
First of all, I just want to say a little bit about him. There's a lot of things you can say. Number 2 ranked tight end in the country, all region, all state. Number 2 ranked player in all of Georgia right now. So I really think the best thing you can say about this guy, there's no better classmate and there's no better teammate you could ask for than this guy right here. Takes AP classes, takes real enrollment classes, plays 3 sports. You're talking about a guy who went on unofficial visits this fall and took teammates with him that may not have the opportunity to go on those visits with that same type of attention. And he wanted to do that everyone he went to. So that speaks to him and who he is. Pop, Stacy, Peggy, Carly, I hope that's really what I know that's what y'all are most proud of with that. I didn't really tell him I was going to ask him any questions in front of everybody until I got here about 10 minutes ago. So I threw that on. Okay, I'm going to come right over here. I'm not going to make it up.
Getting ready to hear from Kaiden Prothro, 5-star tight end, getting set to make his commitment announcement. We're live in Bowdon, Georgia for that. Tyriq Green coming up next.
Official visits this summer in May, during that period, during this summer. What were you looking for when you took those visits to be able to make a decision?
I'll probably say on all the visits, obviously, I got to decide which one's best for me. Going through all of them, just seeing which one best fit for me and where I feel like I would fit in at, and not just necessarily what everybody else wants is what I want, and I feel like it is the best fit for me in the program at that time.
What's the one thing that you've learned or a habit you created about high school that you're going to take with you that's going to help you continue to be successful?
I'd probably say growing up in a great program, winning program, just being around Coach Finley and seeing what the seniors have done the past couple of years. The standard, I'd say taking the standard of Bowdon High School to the program that I'm going to go to is just unlike no other. I feel like Bowdon has a great standard here, and most of these programs up here on this table, I feel like they have an awesome program too. So.
All right, I'll ask a question. Was there any doubt when you woke up this morning, and have you gone back and forth, or is this something that's been, dead set? You've known for a while, or known for a day or two? Have you struggled with it this morning?
I say I haven't struggled. I say I made my mind up. It's probably after the ODs I probably made my mind up, just sitting down with my family, going through all the schools, and just seeing what's best for me and what's best for the program that I'm going to go to. So I'll say I'm pretty clear. My mind's made up.
Kaiden Prothro saying he's pretty clear. His mind is made up, and he's about to reveal it to the world here. After that, we'll hear from Ty Green in his ceremony, the 4-star defensive back, classified as an athlete from Atlanta. But the stage for now belongs to Kaiden Prothro. 5 hats on the table. Dogs hoping to add a 5-star. Let's hear from him.
First of all, I would love to thank God for this opportunity to be in the position I am in today, because without him, none of this would be possible. Second of all, I would love to thank my parents for supporting me, for supporting every decision I have made, for always being there for me. Third, I would love to thank Bowdon High School and my coaches for pushing me not to be only the best off the field, but also the best on the field. And I would also like to thank the Bowdon community for being great supporters and helpers in the school system. I would want to give great thanks to Hometown Sports Media, West Georgia TV, and Graddick Sports for calling some of the best games. Last, I would love to thank all the coaches that have recruited me along the way that has now led up to this. Now, with that being said, for the next 3 to 4 years, I'll be taking my talents to It's gonna be hard. I'll be taking my talents to University of Georgia.
How about them Dogs? Adding a 5-star tight end. A different Georgia hat comes out from below the table, and the entire family gather around Prothro, decked out. Not in the Bowdon red and black this time, but the Georgia red and black. And the crowd there at Bowdon High School is thrilled by this outcome, as is everyone in our audience. More now from Kaiden Prothro. Listen to that ovation. Hugs coming all around. The first of a possible 2 commitments for Georgia today. 5-star tight end Kaiden Prothro will follow in the footsteps of other great tight ends who played for Todd Hartley here at the University of Georgia. We expect to hear from him here right now. Tyriq Green coming up in a matter of moments, by the way, so stay with us.
Thank you for everybody coming out and supporting me. It's been the best 4 years of my life, Bowdon High School and growing up here. If y'all want to stay after, we got a bunch of food, so please stay after and eat. There'll be pictures with whoever. You can talk to whoever. Just do whatever you want, hang out, and I'm sure there'll probably be music, but I don't know, so just hang out and yeah, go Dogs.
Go Dogs. That's the message from Kaiden Prothro. What a moment there.
Hey, real quick, at the moment, he's going to sit here for probably 5 or 10 minutes and let the media ask a few questions. Then after that, he's going to go and do individual meetings. Then after that, if you want to get pictures, we're going to have a good time today. That's for sure.
What a scene at Bowdon High School right now.
Once we get done, we'll bless the food, but he gets the first plate. Go Dogs.
All right, so it looks like Kaiden Prothro is going to speak to the media. Why don't we do this? Let's keep our shot there on Ty Green in Atlanta. Let's try to also hear from Prothro. By the way, our Jeff Sentell, who has been in the YouTube chat, is on vacation. So we got Kaylee Mansell in Bowdon. Jack Leo's there in Atlanta with Tyriq Green. Jeff Sentell is out of the country, but I believe he has been in our YouTube comment section to give you an idea. Also, You got the table malfunction there at Bowdon too, so you got quite a scene going on there. But we do expect to hear from Prothro in a moment. I tell you, though, on what is a unprecedented day for us to be able to provide two different commitment announcements to you live on air, as Kaylee's got her microphone at the ready and ready to ask some questions of Prothro. I think what stands out as among the more memorable moments for us this summer is the sheer sound of the ovation when a community that loves its Georgia Bulldogs football, Bowdon, makes the announcement that it makes. When Prothro makes the announcement that he makes, Bowdon, the folks in the stands there, they go crazy. That was an incredible thing to be able to hear, and we will expect to hear from Prothro in a moment. Also, if you're just joining us, on the left side of your screen now, that is Tyriq Green from Buford High School. He is at an Atlanta area restaurant, and he will choose in a moment another Georgia-Miami battle here. This time, Auburn also a factor in all of that, or I should say it's Georgia-Auburn again with Miami getting involved for Tyriq Green. So Georgia adds the five-star tight end. We're going to hear from him, Kaiden Prothro. And then in a couple of moments, we'll also watch along as Tyriq Green gets ready to make his announcement too. This is a fun day here for Georgia fans. It's a fun day for us here at DawgNation, and quite a ceremony going down a moment ago. And I don't know if Cody Chafin's with us right now or not, but Cody, when I listened to the excitement of that, let me go to Kaylee because she is there at Bowdon. Kaylee, when I listened to the excitement that was in the room a moment ago, just the sheer elation about the fact that it's Georgia, the fact that entire community is going to now gather together and have a meal together. To me, that's what high school football is all about. For those that love Georgia football, that's what this recruiting process is all about. Good kids from great communities who want to be a part of what's happening here at UGA. Quite a scene that you had the best seat in the house for just a couple of minutes ago, Kaylee.
I'm surprised you guys couldn't hear it all the way in Atlanta. I mean, it was like, I don't think that the camera could do it justice. So we are going to have a chance to talk to Kaiden Prothro. They're going to let him talk to some of the local media outlets first. Then we'll have that one-on-one opportunity with them. But you can definitely tell there was a little bit of bias in the room as to where the crowd wanted him to go. He put his hand over that Texas hat, then the Florida hat, and everybody seemed on edge. But I think he's known this decision for a lot longer than he's led on, and you can just tell that this is a very proud community, especially the way that they're all going to celebrate together. So this is an absolutely humongous get for the Dogs, not just a want, but an absolute need for this class because of the versatility that he brings. So I bet Kirby Smart's celebrating just as hard as these people will tonight.
And Kaylee, I'll give you one more, and if you have to jump off, then please don't hesitate to just run away because I know you're getting Kaiden Prothro, but this is the three-time state champion program. We've seen Prothro play amazing football in those state championships. That Georgia's obviously pursued a good number of tight ends in this class, but as you said, Prothro has been a major priority for Georgia throughout this entire time, and he's really one of the biggest gets of all in this 2026 class, is he not?
No, absolutely. I mean, he is almost like a cross between a tight end and a wide receiver because he's got the size of a tight end, 6'6", 210. You can visibly see how tall he is when he's standing behind me. But you look at his high school stats, and they resemble that of a receiver, not a tight end. Over 1,200 passing yards, and has converted almost half of his catches from this last year into touchdowns. You see the absolute flex. That's the 3 state championships that are sitting here at the bottom. When we talk about the powerhouses in the state of Georgia, we're typically talking about the Bufords of the world. We're not talking about Bowdon enough because it doesn't matter what classification you're in. That's a hard thing to do, and you best believe that Kaiden Prothro has something to do with that.
We're going to let you get in position to do your interview. We'll take it from you live when you get it. We'll also continue to watch the scene from the restaurant in Atlanta where Tyriq Green is set up. So if you're just joining us, it's a Kroger Commitment Special. We are stretched far and wide here today. You just heard from Kaylee Mansell. She's in Bowdon, Georgia. That is in Carroll County. The 3-time defending state champions in the lowest of the single-A classifications here in Georgia. 5-star tight end Kaiden Prothro making his announcement a moment ago, choosing Georgia over 4 other finalists. It can be a big day for Georgia. In addition to that, though, coming up in just a moment, as Tyriq Green Green, 4-star athlete, now ranked inside the top 100 according to On3. He is set to choose, as you see there in front of you, between Auburn, Miami, and Georgia. And while we're waiting to hear from Prothro and see Green make his announcement, let's also give a little bit of a shout-out here, too, to what I thought was a very good flair for the theatrics from Prothro. It is a big crowd there. I thought that where he was located there at Bowdon, I thought Prothro did a good job of kind of playing to that, kind of drawing it out. And you could sort of see that he was feeding off that crowd a bit. But then he, as we've seen, it's become kind of one of the main things to do. It's the zipped up windbreaker. It's the zipped up sort of sweat jacket. You pull that off. Then the family reveals all the Georgia stuff underneath that. It was incredibly well executed. And I'm telling you, it's worth going back to relive. And I'm sure we'll have these clips shared on social media. We're great at that, of Prothro and just the massive ovation that goes down from that community. And it's one of the things that makes Georgia football so special. Obviously, Carroll County is not incredibly close to Athens, at least in comparison to maybe where some of you live. But this is deep red Georgia Bulldog territory down there and over there. And so they were fired up, and obviously they're thrilled for their kind of young favorite son in Kaiden Prothro. We're going to get a chance to hear from him. Kaylee working to do that. By the way, Kaylee doing also yeoman's work today in that she's there by herself, and that's inside baseball. Actually, Smith is also there too. Pardon me, our good buddy Smith is there with Kaylee, but still a big-time effort as Jeff Sentell is on vacation. Kaylee and Smith on hand there in Bowdon, Georgia, getting ready to hear from Kaiden Prothro, and we ourselves will get ready to see Tyriq Green make his announcement coming up in just a moment, choosing between Georgia, Auburn, and Miami, as the Dogs hope to get 2 commitments today, and we get a chance to show both those announcements so you hear live on DawgNation. Let me now go to Cody Chaffins, as I attempted to almost a moment ago, and if obviously Kaylee's ready with Kaiden, we'll go straight to that. But Cody, it was I thought a fun scene there at Bowdon. I think it sets up to be kind of a cool sort of twin bill doubleheader for Green here coming up. But I don't think you can say enough about the way in which the Georgia news was received by the people in that gymnasium there at Bowdon High School.
Yeah, and it was fun. You talked about seeing the theatrics. I backed up the replay here a little bit more so we can see just exactly what happened. You picked up the Texas hat. Yeah. So what's new? I was watching the college football EA Sports game. You can do one of these in the game, and it has buttons you can press to tease the crowd, and that's exactly what it looked like he was doing. He gets everybody, and I know everybody in that room was going to be disappointed if he did not put on the red and black hat. Close to Alabama, though. Actually, let's go to Kaylee.
Let's go to
Kaylee Mansell right now, standing by with Kaiden Prothro. Kaylee,
all right.
Go ahead.
Got Kaiden Prothro on hand with me. First off, congratulations. I know it's a long process. What does it feel like now that it's over and you've made the decision?
Really just feels relieving, I didn't want to wait any longer. I just couldn't wait. I just wanted everybody to know that I was going to be a dog and I'm going to stay a dog. So, I mean,
clearly the thing that stands out the most is the community support that you have here. What does that mean to you, and what does that say about your hometown of Bowdon?
It really just shows how Bowdon is just really a really loving hometown. They love football. They love the kids that go to the high school, and the elementary kids really look up to the high school kids and want to be like them one day.
I thought it was interesting that you pointed to the official visits, the things that were important to you. What was it about that Georgia official visit that made it feel like home?
Really just Coach Hartley breaking down the film and just making me feel like home, and just really spending time with a bunch of the players and just being around some of the tight ends in the other rooms, just checking out their personalities and getting their opinion on what it's like.
So when they broke down the film with you, how did they tell you they wanted to use you, and who did they compare you to?
Really, they were just using me in like the passing game, really split out wide, coming in some to block, because obviously you got to block sometimes, and just showing me how they're going to develop me, not only in the passing game, but the run game, and just showing me what I'm going to have to do from now to the NFL.
We've had a chance to talk to a lot of your 2026 guys recently. Was there anybody in the 2026 class who was keen on reaching out to you and making you a dog?
Really, a couple of other Georgia commits were talking to me. Ryan Mosley, Jared Curtis reached out to me early, talking to me. Just hitting them up. A couple other Georgia guys just talking to me and just making sure that I want to be a dog.
All right, 2 more things for you, then we'll let you take pictures with everyone. When you think about the next 3 to 4 years, what's the number one goal that you have, whether it's for yourself or for your team?
Really just to improve myself and to improve the team. I want to go in, not only make myself better, but I want to make the team better, not only on the field, but also in the locker room and off the field.
So we've got a ton of people watching right now. We're also on scene for Tyriq Boogie's commitment, who's hopefully also going to be a Dog. What's your one message to DawgNation?
Really, that I'm not going nowhere. I'm a hometown guy. Like I said, I've been coming to Bowdon my whole life, and, I'm going to stay a Dog. So,
congratulations to you.
thank you.
All right, there you have it. Back to you, Brandon.
Great job by Kaylee Mansell. Terrific interview with Kaiden Prothro. So many interesting things to hear from him, including there at the end. I plan on staying a Dog is essentially what he says. Strong words from him on that. Obviously very happy about his Georgia choice, describing in detail about how it is that he said that Georgia plans on using him. Obviously, they see the playmaking potential, and I think a lot of people saw that when – and by the way, got a little bit of a backdrop issue. It's been kind of an interesting day where you had both a backdrop and a table issue there at Bowdon High School for a moment with Prothro, and now the really good-looking backdrop for Tyriq Green also having to be reaffixed to the wall there of the restaurant. And I tell you, this is a very impressive setup here where you've got the nice sort of like palm trees kind of giving a frame to this on both sides. You got some depth in the shot with the boogie backdrop, and then you've got kind of offset to that another different shaped kind of backdrop and background with the vertical presentation of the three finalists. This is a very well done thing from a visual standpoint. A really well planned event for Ty Green as he gets ready to make his announcement in just a moment in what is going to, I think, end up being, especially if it's good news for Georgia, one of the more fun days we've had around DawgNation in quite some time with both of these announcements taking place. But just to finish the point that I was making about Prothro a moment ago, being given a clear message about how it is that he can be used at Georgia. And for a lot of us that saw in that state championship game, one of 3 straight for Bowdon in the Class A Division II rankings, we saw a dynamic athlete, and we saw a player that is as potentially electric as anyone that Georgia has brought in and maybe perhaps can bring in this 2026 class. Let's go back to Atlanta here for a moment, where our Jack Leo is standing by, running point on the soon-to-be expected announcement from Tyriq Green. Jack, we're enjoying the aftermath of Prothro's news. Any update on we might hear something here for Tyriq Green? Jack, what can you tell us?
Yeah, it'll be in the coming minutes. I would say stick around. Shouldn't be too much longer as people are starting to file outside. And as hot as it is today, I know people aren't going to want to wait long. So once people start coming out, I mean, that's a pretty good indicator. And I wanted to show you all a little bit of that backdrop there with the Palm Beach logo and all that. I'll try to show you to the right here. They've got a walk-in area roped off.
That's
very
nice.
red carpet feel.
Yeah.
And then try to turn a little slower. I'll give you all any vertigo here, but then a little deck area to the side, people hanging out as well, having a good time. You see the Atlanta skyline backdrop back there as well. So
it's a very, like you said, it's a very sort of velvet rope kind of VIP type thing there. A little, very, very, perhaps different than some of these other announcements where this feels very exclusive. It feels very high end. And I think you see security also walking around there.
Oh yes, that's right. And I'll try to catch the drone here at some point if I can. You might hear it buzzing over me right now, but it's the real deal out here. It's VIP experience is a very good way to put it. It's a Buford level production.
Let me ask you, Jack, if you don't mind. One of the things we sometimes take clues from is just what we perhaps see in the audience. For instance, Kaylee even made mention of this earlier. Hey, you want to get a look at the cake if you can, because sometimes the cake gives it away. It's revealing. The color choices, the outfits that others are wearing in the crowd, or just the general mood sometimes can also be a bit of a clue. Is there anything that you're seeing from maybe what's just outside the camera frame or from folks you've talked to there that gives you any kind of indication? I mean, obviously, there are a lot of Georgia fans who think this could be good news for Georgia today. This seems to be a recruitment that Georgia's been trending with. But is there anything that perhaps tips off the upcoming announcement based on what you've already seen here today?
Well, I think if there's one thing we've learned, it's that the hats and the T-shirts you can see don't matter very much today.
Right.
But for what we have seen, there's been a couple UGA T-shirts I've seen, a couple UGA hats. I haven't seen anything with Miami or anything with Auburn, but no, like a bunch of red and black colors, not a bunch of green and orange, not a bunch of blue and orange. It's like the whole, it's like the whole audience is going to get up there and reveal T-shirts or something. But I will say, Tyriq's dad walked by earlier in all Buford green, not Miami green. It did
Sure.
more look like that Buford green, and I did hear from someone say that inside there were more Miami cupcakes than Georgia and Auburn cupcakes, but there were Georgia and Auburn cupcakes. So
Yeah, so maybe that just means
all
that
I can
people are
offer.
eating the Georgia cupcakes. They don't want to touch. Maybe those Miami cupcakes are old and stale. They don't want to eat those. They're choosing to eat the Georgia ones instead. Maybe that's the case. And then Jack, I'll ask you this too, and then we'll let you get settled in for what we're expecting to be an announcement from four-star athlete Tyriq Green here coming up in just a matter of moments, live on this DawgNation Kroger Commitment Special here today. In the announcement for Prothro a moment ago, you saw how well that was received by everybody there, not just because he's going to Georgia, but because for a community that loves its high school football, they were proud to see one of their own get a chance to play at such a major level in the SEC at a place like UGA. I'm sure you're experiencing something similar with those who know Green well, with those who are there to kind of celebrate this with him personally. What sense do you get of kind of what this means to Green and his family, Green's close friends, his associates who've gathered around there today? What sense of pride do you see from them about this chance to celebrate with Tyriq Green here in a moment?
I'll explain that real simply. When you walk down this velvet rope thing, you don't even get halfway inside before someone is hugging everybody. Everybody's handshaking and saying, hey. And I mean, it feels like a dinner party out here. It looks like a really good time.
That's an awesome experience and a great description, Jack. We'll let you watch this a little bit more closely. We'll check in back with you if we need to, but we'll also expect to see Tyriq Green sitting at the center of that table here coming up in just a couple of moments too. Jack, thanks so much for your great work, and we'll check in with you in a couple of minutes, and we'll keep your shot right here on the screen. Of course, this is a Kroger Commitment Special here today with Jack Leo in Atlanta. Kaylee Mansell has been in Bowdon. Our Jeff Sentell is on vacation. He is in Europe. And yet Jeff also kind of shaking away from his vacation to join us here today. Jeff, I'm not the smartest person in the world. What time is it where you are here right now?
Brandon, hey, man, good evening, sir. This is the best part. I had to come out here and kind of get near the ambiance and to get near the sea. Brandon, it is actually 10:48 p.m. here in Norway. The sun doesn't set until about 11 o'clock. It doesn't get dark, maybe for about an hour, and then the sun rises again at like 3:30 a.m. But I'll tell you what else the sun is rising right now, and it is in the Georgia offensive tight end and wide receiver room about Kaiden Prothro being a dog. Brandon, I see the two dual streams. I was like, man, I was inspired. Let me do some work, just a little bit of work to Jordan Brandon and everybody here from Norway. Brandon, I think this is the first time you've ever had a guest from Norway on your air, sir.
Well, I'm going to ask you a serious question in a minute, but I'm also kind of disappointed because I'm sure Kaylee Mansell is probably enjoying the nice meal with the Prothros, because I would love nothing more than to do like a quad box here of like Bowdon, Atlanta, Oslo, kind of all. Yeah, there you go. We're sort of stretched all over the place here in Atlanta, still in Bowdon, Georgia, where the festivities continue with Jeff Sentell joining us, from Norway. What a cool scene that is. And Jeff, on a serious note, I had no idea that it was still daylight at 11 p.m. in Norway. That's something new to learn today. But also, as you said, the fact that this for Georgia has a chance to really be a doubly good day with the potential of two major additions to this class. How much fun is that for you just to watch what this day could be for this 2026 class for Georgia? A summer where they've already done so much and done so with such a flair for the theatric, to be able to kind of do this sort of double dip within the same hour is a pretty fun thing, is it not?
Well, tell you what's fun, Brandon. You and I have been a part of a lot of these, and like this is the first one where you've ever tried to tie together kind of two commitments in tandem. I was really inspired by seeing that, and really what it is. I mean, we've been on the air when like it's been early signing days and Georgia got a bunch in a row or talked about a bunch in a row, but to kind of take you there and bring them to you live, awful proud of everybody back home in Atlanta that makes a man happy with his job and happy with the people he works with. because we do take our jobs very seriously. One quick note of intel about Kaiden Prothro. We can talk about this now, Brandon, but this is one that has kind of always been Georgia's to lose. The commitment story that we actually wrote a while back when we were stateside for Kaiden Prothro, he was kind of always the most likely 5-star in this class. There's a unique position fit where he would be a wide receiver most likely at Georgia. That's kind of the pitch right now. Unless he gets up to 250 or 260, then he becomes a tight end for Todd Hartley's room. They think they can flex him out and do a little bit of both. But right now, Prothro is a 5-star. But when he went to the Under Armour national event, the All-American game, as a rare junior first-timer, he worked out all week at wide receiver, made some top performer lists. Here's the nugget you're waiting for in between the Norway skyline right here is when Kaiden Prothro was a wee lad, he dreamed about being a dog. His dad played basketball at Jacksonville State, played baseball at Jacksonville State, but he always wanted to be a catcher and a baseball player for the Dogs. Same dream, just a different team in Athens.
Fascinating stuff. How about a thumbnail here on Tyriq Green before we get a chance to hear from him? It seems like this is a recruit who's kind of been on the ascent as of late. We mentioned the fact that according to On3, their specific website ranking, he's now inside the top 100, number 89 overall. He's also kind of making a big move in state right now, too. By the time we get to the season, he's going to be one of the more notable names on this loaded Buford team. We're set to hear his announcement. Georgia fans hoping it's UGA. But give me a little bit more on Tyriq Green for maybe those who are only now acquainting themselves with him.
Well, Brandon, most people that are pretty close to the Buford High program, they've got a couple of guys that are higher rated, a couple of defensive linemen, really good football players on a always prospect-laden Buford team. But they use the word football player, Brandon, and that I know people will think that's a very generic, vanilla term. But what that means is a guy that would be elite in anything he does, Brandon. And for Ty Boogie Green, used to be at Cal High School, now at Buford, head coach Brian Appling told me a story. He named everybody loves player parallels, but they're very dangerous and they're very risky. But one of the things, the player parallels he dropped is he says, well, Ty Green's a great running back for us. We call on him a lot in big situations. He compared him to Justice Haynes as a running back, but then as a safety, he compared him to a Caleb Downs, not quite Caleb Downs because who could be, but then he said he's a little bit of KJ too. He's a student in the classroom. He's a special teams, high IQ football guy, Brandon. And this is the one thing I love. If you go on his highlight film, you're going to see, and I don't know if you've ever called one, Brandon. I don't know if I've ever seen one, especially in high school football. But the first play on his highlight tape, Brandon, is a 107-yard interception return. That's some pretty good stuff right there, buddy.
It is indeed. And I think you mentioned KJ Bowdon. Obviously, a lot of Georgia fans would certainly love to see, in more ways than one, Green following Bowdon's footsteps at Georgia. But I think we also have this discussion now without the backdrop of what we maybe discussed before, whether it was real or not. It was certainly a very prevalent conversation of the so-called Buford curse and what Georgia was or maybe wasn't doing with one of the most talent-rich programs in the country that happened to be just a few miles down the road from the Athens campus. Because of the fact this would not be even the first Buford commit in this 2026 class, because obviously KJ Bowdon is now expected to be one of Georgia's top players who hails from Buford, all of a sudden any kind of hesitation about, can Georgia win with a Buford player? Jeff, that's obviously gone now, right?
Yeah, it's definitely out the window, Brandon. I mean, really, truth be told, the Buford staff would love to send more players to Georgia. Sometimes, those kids are just transplants in the Atlanta area and they want to get away. And then other times, some of their prospects maybe weren't good enough or great enough, should I say, to play for the University of Georgia the way that Kirby Smart's been recruiting the last several years. And I don't know, we were talking with Kaylee Mansell about this, and she's very much a very even keel, a very measured type of young person. And Brandon, I know you're a little bit different when it comes to the Dogs. Are you ready to call it now? What does it take? How many commitments does it take for it to become a Buford pipeline? and not a Buford curse. Would one more do it, or do you just see about 2 or 3 more?
No, I think so. I think we're well on our way to that. And obviously start thinking class of 2027, a chance to do some more of that too. So I think we're very, very close to perhaps getting there. And by the way, you see the scene there in Bowdon. We'll hear more from Kaylee Mansell perhaps coming up in a minute. Actually, Jeff, if you don't mind, if you got to go, you're on vacation, so feel free to pop off if you need to. But Kaylee, let me bring you back in on this for a moment, because just down the road from where Ty Green's making his announcement, we got Beyonce in concert tonight at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. For a lot of these concerts, it's often fashionable to start them a little later than the announced time. The headlining act comes out sometimes a little later than expected. You think that's what Tyriq Green has going on right now? It was sort of an announced show time of maybe somewhere around 4:30. But actually sort of stretching this thing. We thought we'd get both these within the 4 o'clock hour. I keep looking at the clock, though, because it's 4:55 now. We don't know that is exactly going to work out. Is this sort of a Beyonce headliner act style of maybe coming out just a little bit later than the announced time to kind of keep that crowd waiting just a little bit longer?
Honestly, I actually think that the location of it all makes it a little bit more informal, because typically when you have ceremonies at schools, there is a dead start time, because that's what time they tell everybody to show up. So you kind of have to be on time. But I think the fact that it's at a restaurant, it's a little bit more laid back. You are not you don't necessarily have to stick to the schedule, because it's not an official ceremony. It's a commitment, but you can't really call it a ceremony. So I think maybe that has more to do with it. I don't think that anybody's coming in right now and making a $10 million offer. But you got to show the guy a little bit of grace. I know it's not always convenient for everyone, but hey, we feel pretty good about where things are going with Ty Green. And there was something that you brought up either yesterday or maybe today that I wanted to address, because I think if we can get Jeff Sentell on this too, we need to do a study of the hat order. Because where the Georgia hat falls, like the middle one, that's never really where it ends up going. It's usually one that's kind of like on the right or maybe the middle right. So I think when we come back, we need to start doing a study of the hats, because I feel like that does tell a lot of the time where they're going to end up going just based on the placement of it.
I think it's a good point, Kaylee, and I bring Jeff back in on this on vacation from Norway. Poor Jeff, we're dragging him into the show, even though he's supposed to be enjoying time with his family. I also think, Jeff, we're now to the point where, and you see Prothro continuing to enjoy his moment, which is a great thing to see. I also think we're now to the point where when you see the hats on the table, and originally Prothro had all 5 of his finalists, when you see the hats on the table, now more often than not, the actual hat the recruit wears, I would say more than 50% of the time, the majority of the time, that's not one of the hats from the table. It's one of the finalists, but the actual hat that's on the table is a prop hat, and the real hat we're now seeing more frequently than not kind of underneath that revealed when the apparel, kind of the second layer of the apparel is revealed. That's going to become the default more often than not, right?
Listen, Brandon, I mean, we've been to so many of these. I almost have a little bit of time for a TED Talk about the hat science. Usually now you look for one with the most sleek, pristine type design, probably one of those name brand apparel makers that I know Brandon probably has a lot of Atlanta Braves type caps in his closet. But you look for the one that looks like was the $30 hat with the flat bill, and the other ones might look like they were picked up maybe at a lesser apparel store. Maybe they got them over online, or maybe they borrowed them from their friend or a friend of a friend or whatever. That's usually the hat science, where one of them just looks just right. One thing I'll tell you about Tyriq Green, and here's just something, man, I believe in a little bit more than hat science, and that is Kirby Smart science.
Yeah.
This is a guy that has been personally recruited by Kirby Smart to play the defensive side of the ball. If he should say the words Georgia or put on the Georgia lid in the next 10, 15 minutes, I don't know how much runway we got here, but if he should say Georgia, this would be a Kirby Smart recruit, Brendan. The ones that Kirby pays special attention to, that also wants to come and play defensive back for Georgia, I feel there's an extra magnetism there when it comes to the tractor beam of those guys becoming dogs.
All right, this is more serious than this probably should be taken, but I'm going to point out here, when you look at the setup for Ty Green, it's obviously going to be different than the typical announcement in that there are not, at least for now, hats on the table. The finalists represented in a very nice-looking graphic that's essentially one of these, kind of fancier tablecloths that actually stretches over the table itself. And Jeff, what you'll notice is that there is no room for kind of illusion or gamesmanship underneath the table. We can see there are clearly right now no props on the floor under the table where sometimes this thing happens. So whatever revelation Green wants to make here in a moment, it's going to be a little bit different than a lot of these ceremonies where the tablecloth in the front provides some cover for the showmanship that the player might want to provide. In this particular case, we can actually see underneath the table, and unless there's something basically taped to the underside of this table, there is nothing going on down there. There are also no hats on the table, the finalists being kind of demonstrated a different way here. So perhaps we're going to see a little bit different kind of reveal from Tyriq Green here coming up in just a moment.
Brandon, I got you one. How would you like a pro wrestling themed reveal where Ty Boogie just comes running out of the curtain and has his garb and regalia on that decides what he wants? Other possibilities, if we were doing ESPN predict a commitment or predict a reveal, it looks like he got some wiggle room there inside the palm trees a little bit. Maybe he pulls a hat out of a palm tree. Maybe he flips the table over or whatever. But Boogie is a guy, very serious player, very much a guy. You see him doing the things with the graphics here, but I don't know, Brandon, how would you feel about him running out? Like we've seen a couple of ceremonies where there's no ceremony. The young man just comes running out and charging out, and he's wearing the gear of his favorite school. How would you feel about that one?
Well, you're making a pro wrestling kind of comparison with this, and it's obviously a very busy weekend in Atlanta because not only is Beyonce at Mercedes-Benz Stadium tonight, but we've got two different pro wrestling events happening in Atlanta, literally right next door to where I am right now. The NXT Premium Live event is taking place this afternoon, and then tonight at State Farm Arena, you've also got the main event airing live on Peacock, Bill Goldberg's last match. So it's a big weekend for pro wrestling here in Atlanta. It also appears to be a big moment here in Atlanta. Jeff, let's watch along. The cameras are coming out. It looks like we're about to see an exit from the restaurant of Tyriq Green. This is quite a scene. Can we go live and hear what's happening there in Atlanta as Tyriq Green makes his way to the table? The four-star athlete getting ready to make an announcement here, and there is a throng gathered around him. This is about to go down. Let's see if we can hear this in Atlanta. So we may not have the audio on that, but we are going to see this go down. A wonderful scene there. And you see very, very similar to what we had with Prothro earlier, where a huge number of folks were on hand. Well, now you've got, what to my eyes, what looks like a similar collection there, different kind of location. It was a gym for Prothro at his local high school. This is at a restaurant. But you've got, quite a gathering here on that. Plenty of media, some of Green's business associates, no doubt. Also plenty of family and friends, and everyone seems to be having a good time. This is quite a scene indeed. We've already been able to show you Kaiden Prothro make his announcement. We're going to try also for this with Tyriq Green here right now. We'll be able to watch along with this.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, now we got some audio coming through. Let's hear this.
All right, guys. Rick's going to give you the countdown. Rick's right here. Count on 5. Once you give your countdown from 5, we got to go inside and make a whole bunch of noise, okay? Okay.
Yep. All right, so Tyriq Green, the four-star athlete, safety in college. Is getting ready to make his announcement. A lot of excitement there. They are at an Atlanta area restaurant. Let's listen in.
We are proud to make a big day. We have a lot of people out here. There's a people family playing people out here. How many people? I'm just going to have you got He got again.
So you got Tyriq Green at the table, set to make his announcement. You were watching it live as part of a Kroger commitment special.
How does it feel to be recruited by this team? I feel good. You know, like it's a blessing. You know, everybody don't get to go through it. Like, so it's just a blessing to God. I feel good. Like, I came to the school and all right. All right.
It's the Booger man.
Everybody.
Once again, 4-star athlete Tyriq Green getting set to make his announcement here today.
All my friends like that. Told them, and I actually all y'all here. But there few 4 years.
He has brought a bag with him. He is pulling from the bag here right now a hat, and it is Georgia. Georgia has pulled off both ends of the doubleheader. 5-star Kaiden Prothro earlier, and now the 4-star Tyriq Green. Ty Boogie, as he calls himself, is a dog. And the reception is warm for him there in Atlanta. Ty Green choosing UGA. Georgia double dips with commits here this afternoon. Let's see if we can hear from Green. So Tyriq Green has chosen Georgia. What a moment. What a moment. And we saw the scene there at the restaurant earlier, just off the frame of your screen to the left. There are what appear to be almost certainly dozens, if not hundreds, of people there. Just a few moments ago, Green emerged from the restaurant where he'd been having obviously a reception with his close family and friends. And it was really, in its own way, its own unique drama in that once everyone kind of saw him coming out, all the phones came out. Almost looked like, Jeff Sentell used the wrestler comparison earlier. It almost looked like a wrestler or a fighter entering the ring. He was, had a pathway cleared for him. He marched through it, went straight to that table, brought the bag with him, and made the announcement. Obviously, a little bit of a tricky audio thing with that. We knew we were going to have some trouble with that. To be honest with you, it's not easy to do two of these at the same time. But the scene is perfect because the Georgia G is unmistakable. Tyriq Green, you see the signs coming out. Ty Boogie committed to Georgia. He says, I'm going to put on for my city. From day one right there. You love that. Great stuff from Tyriq Green. I believe we have Jeff Sentell still standing by. Jeff, this has been quite a day for DawgNation, quite a day for Georgia in the 2026 class. Kaiden Prothro, Tyriq Green, both making their announcements here. Green surrounded by family and friends. What a great thing to see. Yeah, 2 for 2, Jeff. It's really cool, right?
Brandon, you know what? Anytime I hear a recruit make that reference, put on for the city, put on, I think of Richard LeCount III, who used to listen to that every day on his way into practice. Growing up, he wanted to put on for his city. And, Ty Boogie's that same type of player, Brandon. Playmaker, could be all over the field, makes big plays in big games. Not only do we see the potential, but we see the production on the high school field where he looks like the best player on the field. A lot of times he could be a nickel for Georgia. He could play either of the safety spots. He will be a special teams demon. And you think about Boogie, about the same size as Richard LeCount as well. And, you just see a young man out of Buford now adding to 2 guys. That's another 2 reference, Brandon. 2 guys in that class that are now committed to the Dogs.
So obviously,
from the state, from Buford High School as well.
no, it's amazing. And obviously, one of the finalists here was Auburn. Jeff, when Auburn coach Hugh Freeze found out that Green was indeed going to Georgia, where do you think he was? Had he made the turn yet? See the halfway house? You think he was getting a hot dog there before he played in the back nine, or do you think he was, already kind of sort of making his move there on the back half of the golf course?
Brandon, I don't even know if Auburn has the second best recruiting class in the state of Alabama anymore. So you could probably have checked Auburn off, because last time we checked, I think they were 90th or 84th in the country and last in the SEC. You knew Auburn wasn't going to be there. And then it was maybe a matter of Miami and the dollars. I think, quite frankly, Brandon, I'll be a little loose-lipped here. I think the money in the coffers are no longer available for Miami to win a bidding war when it comes to a mere four-star safety. Although he is a top 100 player, although he's going to be fantastic in the red and black. I think that it seems a long time ago we were in Nixa, Missouri, when that big five-star went Miami's way. You haven't heard too many more recruiting decisions of that caliber go Miami's way since.
All right, Jeff, I'm going to get ready to let you go before we end up having to pay an expense report for your trip to Norway. I guess one final question for me before we let you go. Have you seen Anna and Elsa yet? Have you made a trip out to Arendelle while you've been in Norway?
Man, I've learned a lot. The other thing, the National Geographic science teacher stuff was about how the sun sets at about 11 o'clock. It never kind of really gets dark. That kind of feels like Georgia's recruiting class right now. It never really gets dark. It stays bright and vibrant. We're going to look at a lot of fjords this week, Brandon, some five-star fjords. We're going to eat a lot of local fish. Again, right here, we're in the city of Bergen right now, or Briggen in Norway. I stepped out. I saw all the DawgNation people working hard. I had to put my hard hat and lunch pail on right too, because pretty big day for DawgNation, obviously, Brandon. We're going to do some zip line action tomorrow. We're going to do some bike riding. We're going to see a bunch of fjords. Team Sentell, we're going to get in the family truckster a little bit and make some memories, sir.
Jeff, honestly, I really appreciate you popping on. And I know we're taking time away from you, from your family. I do hope you're having a great vacation, but people obviously love to hear from you, and we appreciate your insight into all of this. Great stuff. Enjoy your vacation. Safe travels coming back. And we'll, of course, talk to you in different circumstances again very soon once you're back stateside.
Hey, Brandon, I knew the class and I knew the coverage would be in good hands while I'm gone. And hey, brother, besides that, man, it's 11 o'clock right here. All my family's asleep right now. So I'd just be watching and tuned in with the rest of DawgNation like everybody else. Great job, man. Great job, entire DawgNation team.
Jeff, great stuff. Thank you so much. And we'll talk to you soon there. Croker Commitment Special, getting a chance to hear from Jeff Sentell, taking a break from his vacation, fancy vacation as it is. As Georgia a moment ago got the commitment from Kaiden Prothro and then Tyriq Green. We have lost our connection there in Atlanta. We perhaps we'll be able to share with you on video here coming up very soon, more of the reaction from Green. Let me bring in, I guess, as we get ready to give final thoughts here, Cody Chaffins one more time as he's with us. Did I see we've got Kaylee and Bowdon. We'll check in with her again here in a minute too. Cody, you see both these go down. What's your reaction to two really outstanding announcements for Georgia, two very big gets here for this 2026 class?
Yeah, the rich just keep getting richer. You go back and you look at Ty Boogie's, and we had trouble hearing it. It's like you said, it's tough to get both in there. But you talk about two guys from big-time programs that just win state titles and are expected to win state titles. That's something you like to see. There's going to be no question. Yes, Bowdon is Class A football, but you look at Kaiden Prothro, he's built. And then you got a guy who can do his thing at Buford and Ty Boogie Green, and you just know that they're going to come in and be able to make an impact. And you guys did reference KJ Bowdon, but KJ, part of what made it so easy for him to come into play is Buford challenges you. You got to know football. You can't just go there and think you're going to just walk onto the field. You got to earn your way onto the field. So that's a good sign. And same thing with Kaiden Prothro. The one thing about Prothro, true, as we look back at him, the one thing he kept saying after his commitment was how loyal he was. And you think about playing football in Carroll County, Georgia, there's going to be a lot of pressure to go to that big stadium right down the road. And he ignored all of that pressure, has been loyal to his hometown, and makes you feel good about his commitment to Georgia today.
Well, Cody, you've done a great job all day long. Not easy to kind of keep the train on the tracks with all these different feeds coming in. So Great job from you on that. It's also been a great job today by our Kaylee Mansell. Let's check in one more time there in Bowdon, Georgia. Kaylee, I don't know if the folks in Bowdon realize that another Georgia commit was added just shortly after, frankly, not that shortly after, but just shortly after the Prothro news. But I imagine the celebration is still ongoing where you are.
Oh, you know it. They said to everyone that nobody's allowed to touch the food until Kaiden has a plate first. He's been taking pictures ever since, so I think that they finally giving up on it. They just blessed the food, so I think everybody now is finally able to get a plate, but I hope they leave something for Kaiden because he deserves it. Also, one thing to keep in mind that we haven't talked about yet, I just checked the 247 rankings for the class of 2026. It has the addition of Kaiden Prothro, but not yet Ty Boogie. And with that, Georgia remains number 2, but now they're only 3 points behind USC. And again, that's without the addition of Tyriq Green. So I'm curious to see if there's a chance when they put him in there, will Georgia be able to jump USC? Because USC's been about 20 points ahead of everybody just based off the sheer numbers that they have in the class. So this is the closest anyone has been. And we'll see if the Dogs can get it done with Tyriq Green. If not, they're going to have to add some more to this class, but just something to be on the lookout for.
So I want to reiterate, too, something else you just said, Kaylee. This is now going on about an hour. I mean, not quite an hour. We're getting close to an hour since Prothro made his announcement. And yet the same scene that you're showing us now, we have been seeing intermittently throughout this entire process where, to my knowledge, it certainly looks like he has taken time to pose and take a picture and shake hands with almost everyone who's been there, certainly everyone who wanted to come up to him and give him those congratulations in kind of a receiving line fashion, one by one. Prothro is saying hello and taking pictures with all of them. I got to tell you, what an incredible gesture on the part of Prothro. Obviously beloved by his community. You get a chance to see Rich Finley there. Now among the last, I guess, to get that picture with him. That's the head coach there for Bowdon. But what an incredible scene, and how cool is that with the fact that Prothro, I mean, you're seeing it there firsthand, kind of taking his time individually with each person, one right after the other.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't sat down since he did before the ceremony. And from the time that he made the decision to even now, I'll turn the camera a little bit, you can see him taking pictures. I mean, they had a line wrapped around the gym with people in the community. You saw little kids who will remember this moment always. Mom's Facebook post all week long are going to feature Kaiden Prothro. But the thing that stuck out to me, it's not even just the time to take pictures, but also having those one-on-one conversations with everybody. I feel like based on what we saw here today and the kind of community that he was brought up in, he's going to bring more to this class than just a physical skill set, because you can't really teach that kind of loyalty. And when you've got a loyalty to like this to your hometown, that's going to carry over into college. And now in this day and age, sometimes that's really rare to find, but we see that very evidently with Kaiden Prothro.
Kaylee, well said. Great job today. You and Smith, who's been kind of helping with the camera stuff today. Incredible work by you all. Thank you all so much. And I hope you get a chance to enjoy some of that food here in a minute. And by the way, I expect a full reporting back on what kind of spread it is, what kind of cake is offered. I want to hear about all of that a little bit later on.
I can do that. And just to add to what you were saying earlier, guys, you might not want to hear this, but Smith on site with me is an Auburn fan. He heard the things that you were saying about Hugh Freeze, and he said, honestly, as an Auburn fan, I was just glad to see him on the table twice today. So if that tells you anything about where the state of Auburn is at, I don't know what will.
Hey, listen, there's some beautiful golf courses around Lake Martin, places like that. I'm sure that if you Freeze probably enjoying one of those today, having a nice summer weekend, as he has done pretty frequently thus far, as Auburn fans have been the first to tell us. Of course, I say all that in jest. Kaylee Smith, great job. Thank you so much for being a part of our commitment special. Beautiful visual there from Bowdon High School with Kaiden Prothro today. Kind of nice to see his three-time state champion head coach Rich Finley there with him. I believe, if I saw correctly, I also believe I saw Brian Appling, the head coach at Buford, there with Tyriq Green a little earlier too. So we're lucky in this state, for those of us who love high school football and the players that produce, is to have great coaches like Coach Finley and Coach Appling, who are obviously doing a great job at their respective programs and helping populate the next level, including 2 new commits for Georgia in its 2026 class. Let me also remind you before we say goodbye here, if you're not a subscriber to our DawgNation YouTube page, you're making a huge mistake, because it's a great chance for you to stay up to date on everything happening with Georgia football, including Coverage of SEC Media Days next week from Atlanta as well, as the Dogs get ready to kick off their 2025 season. We'll do that with you at SEC Media Days here from Atlanta next week. And, of course, every time a recruit makes a big announcement, we're also following that closely, too, and there are more of those on the way for the class of 2026 there as well. So for the entire cast in 4 different locations, if you want to count Norway, that made this broadcast possible today, let me say thank you for being with us on this Kroger Commitment Special. The 5-star tight end, Kaiden Prothro, chooses Georgia. The 4-star athlete, Tyriq Green, chooses Georgia. The Dogs stay red hot on the recruiting trail. Good news for UGA. Great day to be a Dog fan. We'll see you very soon here on our Kroger Commitment Special.